Hey, what's going on, everybody? Ryan Leary, William Tincup here with the BARF. This is the look at the week that was, so you can be prepared for the week that is. William, there is another person on the screen for
I
those that are
know.
watching,
This is exciting. Video.
and she's on video. We just learned a really interesting fact, and you don't use video.
I
Sorry.
don't. Yes, this is Katie Achille from the Devon Group, here to crash the party this week.
Yeah?
And yes, on video for once.
Wow.
Wow.
I am a big believer in this thing called the phone that up until 5 years ago everybody was totally okay with.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need to see me at all times.
No,
So what
no.
have you done for the last 5 years?
Yeah.
Just
Talked,
talked?
Talk.
No
talked.
phone, no video?
Listened.
Yeah,
Listened.
listened,
Yeah.
listened, and talked. And sometimes I hop on, but very
Yeah.
rarely.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this has been a hell of a week. We've had a lot happen this week, right? We've had the culmination of the elections, which we don't need to get into. We don't need to
Yeah.
run down that path. But
Just
I will say, I would say 90% of the calls we've had this week have been therapy calls.
mm-hmm.
We didn't actually
Yeah.
get to the topics we needed to talk. And then we're talking like recordings too.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Like it was just one of those weeks. So anyhow, Katie went swimming in the ocean last night
I
in New
did.
Jersey, which is
I
pretty
did.
awkward
In
because
November.
in
Yeah.
November.
That's insane.
Yeah, yeah. So we're gonna have a little different format this week. Little different format. We're not just gonna jump into all the news and acquisitions and all that stuff. Katie's here for a reason. She is going to be talking about some cool stuff and some findings and some trends and stuff like that that she's been following and some recent travels. So let's kick us off. William, you want to do the honors?
No, Katie, go.
I was trying to make it not super awkward for her.
It's not awkward. She's
No,
good.
it's fine. I'm used to you two.
Yeah.
We've done this before. So
Hot-
I'm here to
hot-
talk about
hot potato.
events.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here to talk about events. We've reached almost the end of the fall conference season, I'll say. I
Almost.
know there's a
Dangerously close.
few more coming up, but for the most part, I'd say we're like 85-90% done through the conference season, which means everybody's trying to figure out what 2025 looks like and what conferences they want to be at and how much they want to spend and all of that. So I came to talk to you guys. You've been at a lot of the shows recently to compare notes and see what y'all are thinking
I
about
was
2025.
shocked and this is talent acquisition vendors at Unleash, Transform, and HR Tech. All of them are just pulling out of conferences next year.
Wow.
Like, and I won't
Entirely.
name names, just no, those conferences.
Mhm.
Okay.
They want to go and try and find the talent acquisition buyer, which I don't, that's pretty hard to find. There's not a lot of, great events for those folks, especially leadership,
Mhm.
whom they want to sell to. And they're kind of fed up with
Yeah.
going to the more HR tech related, which is great, work tech related, a broad swath of HR, of which talent acquisition is a spoke.
Mhm.
And they're just like DQing conferences.
Yeah, overwhelmingly.
Big, yeah, it's insane.
I'm
It's like,
not gonna lie, I'm seeing similar from what I'm hearing from my clients.
Yeah.
And mine are not all talent acquisition
Right.
tech. I represent broadly HR tech companies, a few other verticals as well. What I'm hearing is budgets for 2025 are flat. So those big shows, are not being prioritized in the same way they would have been.
right.
The folks that are going are thinking about downsizing their booths, 10 by 10, 10 by 20 maybe.
Yep.
And they're looking at more of these either bespoke events or they're looking at just shorter events. I've been to a few recently. I went to the Conference Boards People 2030 last week in Brooklyn.
Mhm.
It's a day and a half. So
Right.
as opposed to 3, 4, 5 days out of the office, that's an easier, you could just do one full day and call it. Or you could do, the overnight. But that seemed to get a lot more of those decision makers out than I think we're seeing with the big
Yeah.
traditional conferences. So that's one sort of anecdote I can share. What do you guys think? I mean, in terms of, you mentioned TA Tech specifically, which events do you think are under consideration for those vendors? Breakfast, show talent.
Well, yeah, Erie.
Eerie. Yep.
I think is kind of a standard. I think the most of the folks that we've talked to at the shows,
Hmm.
there's everyone's. I mean, this is just kind of a age old thing. When you're at a show, let's say you're at Transform and you're talking to a vendor, they're always disappointed in traffic. Like
Always.
it doesn't matter if there's
Hmm.
14,000 people at their booth, they're going to be disappointed in the traffic. However, this year felt different in conversations
Hmm.
because it was like these aren't just there's traffic. These aren't the right people.
That's a big, I heard that too about, I was speaking with a marketing lead from a TA tech company the other day that's a client, and they had gone into HR tech thinking it was going to be like their big show of the year.
Right.
And then they had
Yeah.
gone to Gartner Reimagine thinking it was going to be a terrible show for them. And it actually ended up being the opposite. They
Yeah.
got not just more marketing qualified leads at Gartner Reimagine than at HR Tech, they got like tenfold
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
number of
It,
qualified leads. So that's a really, when you're measuring ROI, and William, I know you and Ryan and I have talked about this repeatedly with events, that's when you go to your CFO with the budget and they say, where's the
what are we going to
ROI
get?
on this?
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you're comparing 60 leads to 600, um,
Yeah.
that's a very big difference. So,
I also think it's a matter of how the company's looking at the event itself.
Yeah.
hmm
Why are you going to HR Tech, or why are
yeah,
you going to Unleash, or why are you going to Sherm? What
brand
is the
versus demand.
goal exactly?
Hmm.
Yeah, and William and I, we've had these conversations since the, we'll call it September, early October
hmm
timeframe, with a lot of the marketing and events teams who were very upset. Even on the floor, they were
Yeah.
talking with us and they were upset. And they've all, it depends on who you talk to, but
hmm
for the most part, they come back and say, look, we no longer look at these as demand gen shows. These are
hmm
They
partner
never
shows.
should have,
They never
but
should have,
that's a
right?
different
Yeah,
issue.
These
well,
are
and that was,
right. These are partner shows. We're
partner
Right.
seeing
shows.
our
Yeah.
customers, we're
hmm
seeing our partners, we're looking around to see what new partners are out there. So for that,
It's great.
from that respect,
Yeah.
Analysts,
fantastic.
Yeah.
great
Can't beat it.
consultants,
But do you need a
investors.
40 by 40 booth
Yeah.
Yeah.
to do that? That's
Plus the
that's what they're
activation, plus the
Hmm.
party, plus the speak, because
exactly.
all of this starts to add up.
Oh
And I
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I had another, again, anecdotal conversation with one of the analysts recently who said that they were talking to a CEO at one of the big shows this fall. And the CEO, they threw a party and they looked around the room and they were like, I know everyone in here.
Right.
Like, why am I
Yeah.
throwing a party for who are essentially like my friends, quote
Right.
unquote? That's not, there is no
Yeah.
ROI on that other than,
No.
we continue to be friends, but
Right.
I shouldn't have to feel like I'm buying the
Right.
goodwill.
Thanks for the
Uh,
liquor.
yeah,
Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
You don't
we
need to
could have just gone
spend
around the corner,
yeah, you
Yeah.
don't need to spend 30 grand on a bar tab
Yeah.
for someone to talk about you to someone else that they're already talking to them about you for.
The other thing,
Parties and dinners
yeah,
are tricky. The after hour stuff
yes.
are tricky because everyone leading up to it, 6 months leading up to it, it's invite only.
hmm
It's
Yeah.
very special. You have to be qualified. And about 3 days before, they panic. Every
Yes.
single
Yeah.
one of them panic and like, tell your friends. I don't know, get some
Well,
homeless.
Put flyers
Doesn't
in
yeah,
the
but
matter.
then, but then,
bathroom.
but then that's when Ryan doesn't get allowed in, like what
Yeah.
happened at the
I
greenhouse
know,
party
I
at
know,
HR
I
Tech.
know, I know, I know, I know.
Um,
And I
Dude,
love,
so
we love Greenhouse. We love
yeah,
Greenhouse.
no, that was a
They
very
totally,
successful. That was an
yeah,
overly successful
yes.
party.
it was a great
They
party.
Um,
I
totally
enjoyed it.
understand.
so yeah,
Totally
no,
understand.
I didn't make it this year, but that it's historically been one of my
Yeah,
favorite events, and Dina and her team do a great
yeah.
job.
That's right.
They
Send
do.
me a
Um,
sweatshirt and I'll be just as happy.
No, no.
um,
Ryan forgot the first rule of entering a club.
I know.
That's
act
It's
like you own it.
hell yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Like literally. I mean, I
yeah.
had the sash from HR Tech,
The
and I had my badge
influencers.
on, threw on my backwards, and I talked to the hostess. She goes, "It's full." I'm saying, "Oh, so we need to wait for some people to come out," and she goes, "No, no, no. They're not letting anybody else in."
We're
And
at
she
capacity.
and she turned her head for a second, and I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been
yeah.
here before.
I was a little further back and I didn't make it in.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
Hmm.
yeah.
So
Next
the other
It
thing
was
events
full.
wise, yeah, I'm sure. Like I said, I
No,
didn't
there
make
yeah, it
it
was
that
great.
day. I had a very long day running the press room.
Yes.
But the other thing I wanted to point out about events that I've heard, and I've heard this again, I went to People 2030, HR Tech. I was also at Hacker Ranks AI Skills Summit at the Plaza Hotel
Hmm.
in New York a couple weeks ago. So I had the chance to from the attendee perspective talk to some of the folks at the end of the sessions at the Conference Board and Hacker Ranks events. And, one thing that popped up is everyone is when it comes to the content, there seems to be something that's missing right now
Yeah.
in these sessions, and it's the how. I was in a session last week about skills-based hiring. Everyone has heard that term. It's
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
beaten over all of our heads
I've got
all
a
year.
tattoo. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a session with a very big American company. They
Yep.
might be based in Bentonville, Arkansas. And they were talking about their approach to skills-based hiring. Session was 30 minutes long. They talked for like 27 of them, which left one question. And this person got up at the front of the room and said, I think it's great that you've adopted skills-based hiring. Can you tell me how?
Yeah.
And the
Right.
gentleman on stage stood there, and this
That's
is
a
where
great
his
question.
his PR team would have been going nuts. And he, stammered a little bit, and he could give one example. And his one example was that they are taking associates and putting them on the transportation track, and that is because they have
Mm,
the largest private fleet in the U.S.
true that.
Right.
So that's one example that was not mentioned
Well, I'm
anywhere in the presentation. So we
yes.
need we need event content that actually it goes back to that case
Hmm.
study model
Yeah.
where the attendees are learning how your technology works.
Well,
Not why you should buy it, not what benefits you're putting in your marketing copy, how it actually works.
well, it gets to the essence of what is a conference?
Hmm.
What are you trying to
Right.
achieve during a
Yeah.
conference? And most of the conference from SHRM all the way
Hmm.
across, and it's not
Absolutely.
just a US thing. Most conferences are designed to attract practitioners via
Hmm.
content, and then by attracting those practitioners, they attract vendors that can sell to those practitioners.
Yep.
But the Brian will use a fishing metaphor. The bait to get people to come to the conferences is getting less effective.
Hmm.
Yep.
So, and which impacts everybody because if
Yes.
you don't bring
Hmm.
in the practitioners, it ripples to the vendors. They're like,
So
okay, this isn't good for us because we can't sell to anyone, which is the
Hmm.
whole goal for them to be there
Is to sell.
is to
yeah.
sell.
So is the solution then not so much content? Is it taking a page out of other industries like CES or something like that,
Hmm.
where you're going there and you're just getting
Shop.
thousands of vendors. You're shopping. You're
Yeah.
seeing what is new. You're seeing what's hot. I mean, HR tech's not sexy like that. I get it. But
Hmm.
is there a page we can take out of all these? You go to the fishing expos that they'll put 20,000 people in them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
They'll
Yeah.
do demos. They'll
Yeah.
go through
There's no
lessons and
sessions you
workshops.
can attend though to find
No,
out
the
which lure you should be
Yeah,
using and
oh
no,
no,
which.
no, they
the
do.
hunting
But
and
they're
gun shows here in Texas are the same.
yeah,
Like
but
no one
they're
goes to the content;
yeah,
they just
Yeah.
go to the
they just
expo.
walk around.
Yeah.
But they are the ones that do have them. They're
Hmm.
interactive. Like you're
Right.
actually you're doing
Like
things.
workshops and
Yeah.
yeah,
Even
I think
practitioners still need workshops. They
Which
still
is
need
the
to be
how,
hands on.
yeah,
which
the
is
how.
gets
The
it gets
how,
back to
yeah.
the how.
It's
But
the
small,
how.
less
Well, that's
content,
what I
more
think we're
buy.
seeing. I think to, kind of bring the events conversation, full circle. I think what we're seeing for 2025 is if budgets are going to remain somewhat the same
Hmm.
Right.
as they were in 2024, and, HR tech marketing teams need to make decisions, I think there's going to be less priority on the big shows,
Hmm.
and we're going to start to see people trying some of the smaller shows.
Yep.
There are other players in the space who, I'll use From Day One as an example. They've been around for a number of years. they're starting to make more moves.
Oh yeah.
They're attracting bigger brands, both on their content side and the
Hmm.
attendee side. I talked to a friend who went to their event in Brooklyn last week, and she was naming, CHROs and VPs of talent acquisition that she was sitting next to in
Yeah.
sessions, and it was from 8:30 to 5:30
Yeah.
in Brooklyn.
You're in
Their
and out.
other events,
Mm.
are in Chicago, Miami. They're in these big cities, so they're easy for people who are based in those markets or, anywhere near them to take the train in for a day,
Yeah.
and
Right.
then you're back in the office the following
Well,
day.
the
So I think
the
we're going to see more of that in
the road
2025.
trip model, the
Mm-hmm.
dinner trip model, those things have worked forever. Like
Yes.
they've
Mm-hmm.
never not worked.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just drop into a city, take down the nicest restaurant. This goes
Yep.
way back to what was Cielo? Oh, it was Pinstripe.
Mm-hmm.
Sue Marks
Hmm.
at Pinstripe. The first time I went to one of those was in Cambridge. She
Mm-hmm.
noticed on Foursquare that I was in Boston, and she invited me to this dinner. I'm like, well, all right, cool. Get there, and there's 12 people.
Yep.
It's her, me, and 10 global heads of talent.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't talk about work. We literally drank and ate.
Yeah.
And it was just one of these
Hmm.
bits. It was a real fancy restaurant. Anyhow, so like that's all we did. And I went to a bunch of them afterwards. I'm like, this is a great model.
I think we're
Like,
going to see more and more of that in addition to the shorter conference
yep,
format. I think we're going to see
Hmm.
more of those dinners. We're also, I mean, the user conferences are making a big return. We
yeah, they
saw
are.
that in
Yeah. And
2024. And
they're really
analyst
good.
days.
They are
Analyst
really
days
good.
are coming back. Pre-COVID where, all of y'all were getting wined and dined
Yep,
Yeah.
as part of these user conferences. I think it's going to be
yeah.
more of
Yeah.
what we see in
Well,
2025.
I'll tell
So,
you what, we've been to two user conferences in the
mhm.
last month, right? So,
Yep.
I mean, we've been to the ISOF ones. They kick
Yep.
ass.
And
Yeah,
they
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 had
do.
to
do.
pivot, didn't they? Because of
They
the
They did.
they
hurricane?
they did. Yeah, they
That
did.
team
Yeah.
is
But
amazing, though. So,
They
and they
are.
did an amazing
They
job
are.
on the
yeah.
pivot. But
They
they're
pivoted early.
they
Yes,
did. They
they were
did.
smart.
On
Yeah, they
Yes.
did.
Saturday, before it
Mm-hmm.
actually we knew which way it was going
Yeah.
to go, they
Mm-hmm.
pivoted early.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, but their events are chocked full of learning.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. They put a couple hundred people in there and they do their own thing. They don't need to impress the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Indeed, another one. I mean,
Yep.
we were just
Mm.
at Indeed FutureWorks, and I, I mean, look, they're not paying their attendees to go. They're not
Yeah.
paying them to
Uh-uh.
say great things, and they were just overwhelmed and floored with the
Excited.
content. Yeah,
I
Mm.
think.
like
I think
And that one actually coincided with HR Tech this
I
year. So I
did.
know there was a
it
little
did.
bit
Yeah.
from
It
the
did.
press and analyst perspective, it was a little tough
It
because
it
people
won't
needed to
be.
divide
It
their
won't.
time.
Next year they're in different weeks.
Are
They
they?
are
Hmm.
a week apart, but
But
Okay.
I
but
think,
There's always some overlap, that
yeah,
time of year, but
yeah, and
yeah.
I know there's overlap, and I know it's not contentious. But that just goes to show if HR Tech and some of these larger show
hmm
really truly mattered to the vendors, they would know when the event is, and they wouldn't plan
mm.
their event
Well, some of
ahead
the
of time.
conferences they'll publish like 5 or 6 years of
HR
dates
Tech
in a
plans
row.
out, I know, 3 years. I think if you go
Yeah.
to
I
the
think.
Unleash website, if
Yeah,
you go to
it
the
tells
HR
Yeah.
you.
Tech website,
Hmm.
they've got their future dates because they're in multi-year contracts with
That's
their
right.
Sure.
event spaces typically.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, again, though, I think 2025 is going to be a very different event landscape from
I
2024.
agree.
I,
Pending no global pandemics or things that I can't forecast from
I
where I'm
think.
sitting here
I
in
think the
November.
way that the way that I'll think of that, Katie, is flat is the new up for
Mm,
25.
that
Is
Hmm.
is
Don't
I'll
say
just
that.
basic. Well, it's not a bad thing. They'll
no.
have the same budget. They'll just have to rearrange
Peanut
what.
butter spreading is what one of my marketing leads keeps saying, that's
Yeah,
her goal for
Is
2025 is she's
peanut.
peanut
That's
butter
right.
spreading her budget,
get it to the
to
edges,
make sure
baby.
that the brand is in, the most impactful
Yeah.
places it can be without losing footing at, some of the bigger shows where I
Yeah.
think
Right.
there's some FOMO too that the big shows have cultivated over the years.
100%. If you're
So,
not there, what's wrong with you?
yeah. Um
We've had several vendors through the years where that's come up. It's like if you're not there in some way or another. Now that's the question. Do you need the 40 by 40 or can you get away with a 10 by 10? You're
mhm.
there, but you're just not spending as
Right.
much as
Yeah.
on a 40 by 40. And you're not doing a party and you're not doing a dinner. You're
And you're
going.
not flying the whole team out to be in the 40
That's
by
right.
40 because you got to make it look crowded.
Yeah.
There's a lot
That's
that
right.
goes into all of it. Um, you know, one of the other things I wanted to mention, as we wrap up the events conversation, and Ryan, you're involved in this. I just wanted to get a quick plug in, and that's we have a program open right now for HR tech marketing teams called the Clear
Oh yeah.
Communicator
Mm-hmm.
Awards. This is HR tech marketing teams' opportunity to submit themselves for a little praise. We know how hard y'all work to differentiate yourselves in a very crowded market.
Yeah.
So there's more information at the Devon PR website, which is devon, devonpr.com, in the news section.
Yeah.
And there's the submission form is super short.
What's our
There's
deadline? What are we
the
dealing with?
deadline is Wednesday, November 20th. There are
Okay.
3 categories. It's
Mm.
campaign, event, or brand. And again, it's a super short submission, and they're free because it's the inaugural year.
Hey,
I am not a judge, but Ryan is one of our judges,
as you should be.
being an expert on all things HR tech marketing.
Yes.
So I do encourage anyone who's listening who is on an HR tech marketing team to check that
I
out.
love
It
that.
will be
Yeah,
fun.
I would
Th-
be a
th-
bad PR person if I didn't get that
But then
plug
you can,
in.
the
So
best part about that is then you can say you're award-winning software.
exactly, who doesn't want to be award winning? When you're
Award winning.
as opposed to leading. Award winning is it just sounds
I want to be
it just
award winning one day. I want an
yeah.
award. Give me an
I won an
award.
award this year, and you don't know how quickly I changed that LinkedIn profile. Yeah. Uh,
Award win award-winning PR specialist.
yes, something
Great.
like
Nice.
that. And the award is actually sitting on my mantle because you know what? It's the closest I'm ever going to get to an Oscar. Did I just make William do a spit take?
You
It was
did.
Woo,
close.
You
that's an
It was
did.
award win
close.
right there.
There you go.
You
We'll
said
get
it
you
was
a
on your
badge for
desk.
that one.
Yeah.
Nice, nice. All
Good
right.
luck.
We ready to break into some news?
Let's do some news. Are you
Let's
ready?
do it. We're keeping
All right.
Katie on. Katie's gonna help us
Oh,
give some insights here.
All right. Let me start with Boeing. So two things happened with Boeing this week of note. One is the machinist, the strike. They're set to
Hmm.
return to work after voting for a contract with a 38% increase in pay.
I kind of feel like they should just find new people to work there. We haven't had good
Dude,
luck with these
where are the
people.
doesn't
robots?
that go against retention though? Is
I'm
it
guessing, but
retention a thing?
Boeing is okay. So the other story in the same week, mind you, they dismantled their global diversity, equity, and inclusion departments. The DEI office, if you will be combined with another with another human resources team focused on the talent or employee experience.
So they
So,
thought the strike news would they could just slip that in
I don't
real
see
quick on
that's so that's exactly what
hmm,
I first of all you can look um, the strike ending. You can find that on the Wall Street Journal, and you can find more about the DEI on Reuters. So if you
hmm.
want to see those things, so initially, kind of, I thought like, okay, is this going to sound like some type of conspiracy theory? But are these stories related? And why I asked both of you is like 38% raise. That cost has to come from somewhere.
So you think it came from the DEI department?
I
or
do.
are they cutting the people, or are they just moving people into different roles?
Well, they said the word dismantled.
That does sound like a synonym for layoff.
It's,
Hmm, yeah,
I don't.
maybe.
If
Yeah.
they said moving or dispersed or
Well, they're
another word,
dismantling the office, not the
yeah,
I
they're
people.
not
think they
killing
might
the
come with
people.
the furniture though.
Yeah,
Hmm.
If you dismantled a desk, you're getting rid of the legs.
Boeing
True.
has this was Reuters. Boeing has dismantled its global diversity, equity, and inclusion departments.
Mm.
That,
I
There you
need
go.
to go to like layoffs.fyi and see if Boeing is listed.
yeah, again, I don't know its causation or correlation. I don't know if these things are even in the same thing. However, both of them happened this week. So
All
there you
right.
go.
Well, there we go. All right.
What do you got?
U.S. employers add a measly 12,000 jobs in October. This is the lowest since 2020.
My
So
God.
we added 12,000 jobs in October. The expectation was 100,000 jobs.
Yeah, there's 12,000 people in my
Hmm.
neighborhood.
So
Like,
I say we're a little under that. Unemployment though
wow.
has remained at 4.1, right?
Okay.
But the number of unemployed rose to 7 million. So
Huh.
we have some movement. Now, here's I mean, all right. You guys need to school me on this.
All right.
The reason, one of the reasons, one of the driving factors in this is the hurricanes and the major strikes contributed to this subdued growth. I do not believe that.
Well, when someone's on strike, they're so employed,
Yeah.
so that those numbers stay constant. And turns out hurricanes happen from May to November
Mm-hmm.
every year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
There
that's
were back-to-back ones in October.
there were, yeah. But did
Um,
that help? Did
Yeah, but
that?
that wasn't across the country.
no, it was only a specific.
Yeah,
It's the
Yeah.
southeast. It's
yeah.
only the
Mm-hmm.
southeast that was impacted by that.
Yeah. So.
But it
Um,
was bad, no doubt. I'm not
Oh, yeah.
not
yeah, no,
saying that
not
that wasn't
diminishing
bad.
the
Not
impact of the
diminishing.
hurricanes. How many jobs were added in September? Do you know that?
I do
Offset?
not know that.
Do not
No.
know that. No, but
Um.
it was in the
It
hundred. It
it
was
It's
it
six
over.
was
figures.
Yeah,
it was
I
yeah it
just
was well over 100,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
um, you know, if they're not going to give more context, then
Hurricanes.
they're numbers
We're gonna stay behind hurricanes
and
and
strikes
Hurricane strikes,
strikes.
and
and we'll
strikes.
throw
So
in elections just for the hell of it.
uh, you know,
You
Why
never
not?
know.
that's
Why
yeah.
not?
If I were BLS, though, I might be concerned.
I
There
would
we
be
go.
too. I would be absolutely getting my resume correct, updated. Alrighty, so this is from Bloomberg. Equity is the most triggering word in the DEI acronym. So
Hmm.
some companies are looking to rebrand diversity efforts without the equity to tamp down potential backlash.
Writes Johnny C. Taylor of Sherm.
No,
What?
he doesn't like diversity. So this is the
Mm,
bit, right? So at one point, this is
but
probably
why
the height.
equity?
Yeah,
And
that's what
why is equity the most triggering, and who says?
this again. We can go on Bloomberg and find out exactly where they're coming from. However, if you go back to the height of probably the pandemic, everyone was talking about diversity, equity, equality, inclusion, and belonging.
Mhm.
5 terms. And SHRM, Johnny, distanced itself from diversity to just inclusion. That's why the
Mm-hmm.
conference is called inclusion, and just
Mhm.
let's back away from diversity and let's just focus on inclusion. Now we find out that equity is under attack. It's triggering. So I think, again, I think there's dark days ahead for anybody that
Mm-hmm.
cares about any of these initiatives.
Mhm.
I think the next 4 years are going to be difficult because I think they're going to be under attack. So whatever you call it, which got me to think about Animal Farm. Do y'all remember reading Animal Farm?
George Orwell.
Do you remember
Yeah.
this? When the pigs started changing the
Mm-hmm.
the uh, the words, right? So one of my favorites out of that bit is for all animals are equal. Changes to all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others.
well,
so
well,
so
there you go.
that's what it reminds me of. And I'm like, they were just changing words, but this is serious. Like
Mhm.
like
Yeah, it
we
is.
have
It is.
friends that work in this
Oh
space
yeah.
and care deeply about this stuff, and it's like they're going to be under those folks that we care about are going to be under attack, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
absolutely under attack for the next 4 years at least.
And already
Yeah.
have been for this year. And we're at
Yeah,
the beginning, not the end. Is
100%.
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
I
there we go. Okay. I've got one here for a
All right, what
company
do you got?
called Bolt. Bolt drivers win in the UK tribunal. That they had a claim for workers' employment status.
Uh,
So
classification.
classification, right? So
Mm,
shit's getting complicated now. This is
yep.
going to cross over, I think, into the U.S. as well. So let's start off with the fact that employers may need to reassess everything they're doing with how they're hiring or working with drivers, gig workers, delivery, on-demand apps, all of that. Okay.
Right.
So Drivers for Bolt, which is, so if you don't know, is a ride-sharing app. They call it a ride-hailing app, right? I guess they're still throwing their hands up.
careful.
In the UK, I don't know. I don't know. Anyhow,
Yeah.
yeah,
In
anyway,
Germany, they
yeah.
call it something different. My bad.
Well, that just went dark. Next story. So they've been legally recognized as workers, not
Oh,
gig
interesting.
workers, not contractor workers,
They're,
entitling them to benefits and pay and a guaranteed minimum wage. So this whole bit, they have 150,000 clients. Bolt does. They have 150,000 clients, and they've been ordered. This could potentially mean that they need to pay back 200 million pounds, which is
Would it
around
be would
260
it be
million.
ret
From
Yeah,
the start of the lawsuit or
this
something like
is,
that?
I
right?
believe so. Yeah, that's
Ooh,
259 million in US dollars for
oh,
those like me that can't do that
yeah.
conversion.
Do the calculate. Did you ask ChatGPT to translate that for you?
No, the article did that for me.
Okay.
Hmm.
Pounds. What the hell's a
Kudos to that.
pound?
Kudos to
Pound.
that
What the
journalist.
what?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they did that. So that's pretty crazy because we've seen this a lot in the US. They haven't actually gone this distance.
Yeah, the minimum wage thing. Well, first of all, you start with all drivers. Let's say Uber and Lyft. All drivers have to have background checks.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That was a fight.
Hmm.
All background drivers have to have fingerprints. You know,
Hmm.
so okay, all that stuff. And then there was a fight to then be for them to become employees, but I think that's been pretty much squashed up till now.
For
Up, up,
now, yeah.
up till now. Now,
Up till now,
DoorDash has begin last year. They began to change how they offer jobs to the drivers, the delivery drivers. You
right?
have an option. You can take a guaranteed minimum per hour, or you can do a per delivery. I don't know what that means in
Oh,
terms of what
play
I'm
the game.
selecting versus not, but you get to choose,
Well, if they
right?
just
So,
give you the higher number,
oh, that would make sense for the
why do I have
driver
to?
anyway.
Why do I have to choose?
Well, actually, no. I think it does. It gives you. So I think the minimum at the time. I think it's different in each area, but
Yeah.
it's like $14. An hour. Say you're guaranteed 14 plus your tips, or if you go
Or
per ride in an hour, maybe you only get
could be
$10.
$5 a ride, or it could
Right.
be, yeah.
Yeah. So
All
And
you're
right.
what we're
guaranteed. Yeah. So they're guaranteeing you that minimum
and
if
what we're
you
going to
select it.
see at least in the first 2 years of this election is pro business.
Hmm.
It's going to be
Yeah.
extremely pro business.
Yeah.
So anything that you think would happen under a regime
It'll
like
happen
this,
after the midterms.
it might happen after the midterms.
Right.
Do you think we're going to see less of like the fractional work?
I
Because
don't.
that's been such a big
No,
trend
I don't.
this year.
No.
I don't think that will change because I think that's based on the people wanting to work
Hmm.
Yeah.
a certain way.
Hmm.
So I think that they, I'll
Because that's
say,
been trickling down, from like
right,
C-suite to
Yeah.
other employment classifications. So I was kind of
right.
wondering if we were
Yeah.
seeing kind of the end of the employee or approaching,
I,
the
I,
end of the employee, but
I think we're
different
gonna.
administration now.
RTO.
Yeah, I think we'll see soon enough
Hmm.
when the job market comes back to where it's a candidate-driven market at this point.
Right.
At that point, if the people who swear by these gig jobs and all the fractional work, if they hold true to their word, if
Hmm.
there's ample jobs and candidates can go get jobs and they can be guaranteed a salary of 120,000, are they going to work 5 gig jobs to get
Hmm.
to that salary, right, and have to manage all their own stuff? I think that's when I don't think it's going to be anytime soon, but that's I
Hmm.
think when we'll see either the trend's going to stick or it's going to fall off
After the midterms.
after
Yeah.
the midterms.
After after the midterms. All right. Let me. This is a New York story, New York Times. So librarians across the country face a burnout epidemic as their jobs increasingly require them act as a de facto mental health or emergency response workers
Mm.
to patrons that are experiencing hardships like homelessness and addiction and mental illness. So the first thing because when I was at Bama, I worked at 2 libraries the whole time I was there for 3 years. I worked at the general library and I worked at the medical library. So I had 2 jobs. They were both part time, student jobs, but I could study and I loved it. I love being around librarians because they're just smart. They they can find shit. So it's like I loved being, and it was also just a fun job because I could study while I was there. That those folks that I was around back then, they would not fare well in this environment of homeless addiction and mental health. So the first thing I thought of is deuces, different job. I didn't sign up for this shit. I'm out.
Hmm.
Now, secondly, I think it made me think of sociology majors in college. There's only so many sociology jobs available on a given year, in a given year after graduation. There's always so many of them. Most people stay, if they get a job, they stay forever. They stay to death. So if you blend sociology with a little bit of library science, you could have an absolute wonderful career path because you already have the skills of sociology and the skills of library science. So there is a silver lining, I guess, but
Mm.
you're going to lose. They're going to lose a lot of these librarians that have been around for a while. They didn't sign up for that.
I mean, you're also assuming libraries are going to be kept open
Good
and
point.
that there's going to be
Mm.
funding
Yeah,
for those,
point taken.
you know.
I think that's the bigger point is they're not gonna have a
Yeah.
job anyway. So
Wow. Back up.
Boom!
I'm just saying they're librarians. I mean, how many books are you reading?
Thought I was being harsh, Ryan.
Well, like a little duck hunting. Here we go.
I mean, look, there's 3 people on screen. Only one of us has books.
Well, that's definitely, yeah, that's Katie.
One of us
Oh,
has
yeah.
art, one of us has books, and one of us has nothing.
Nothing, right?
Yeah, well,
I
I'm
have
a
read
minimalist.
75 books so far this year.
Oh,
That's
that's
And
pretty
yes,
good.
I keep track every year.
As you
That's,
should.
I'm a
that's
nerd.
nuts. Yeah.
Where do you
we
get
don't-
your list?
What do you mean? Where do I?
Yeah, are you a New York Times bestseller person?
I have the Libby app for my local library,
Yep.
and then I'm also a member of my local book co-op, and I buy books there.
Yep.
Um,
Okay.
Oof.
you know,
Do you
reading
do you
is
read
fundamental.
multiple? Yeah. Do you read multiple books at the same time?
Yes, because I
Oh,
do read some audiobooks because I listen to them while I walk my dogs, and yes, that is
right.
considered reading because it's what
100%.
works for my schedule.
Just like,
100%.
So
I
yeah,
read audiobooks.
I listen to
That's like saying
audiobooks.
I'm watching the podcast.
Are we not on video right now,
We
Ryan?
are.
Yeah, but the words
But
are
what,
in front of
Spotify
me.
I
would not?
understand, but I mean, you know,
No,
it's
I
a
count
book.
it. I count it. I count
I
it.
count it. Yeah.
I
No,
count
I
it.
will. I will. I usually have like one trashy novel, one nonfiction, and then one business book going at any
Oh,
given time.
nice. Okay.
And then I'm also known to bring books with me on my travel and then just leave the ones I don't
Mm.
buy.
You get a chapter in. Do
Yeah,
you
we'll leave
are
this for
you
the cleaning crew.
as you as a book reader, do you feel that you have to finish the book, or are
Not with
you
library books.
okay?
With library books, I'll just return them because that's easy.
Yeah,
If it's a book that I own, I typically will at
you're
least
gonna
skim my way to the end.
you're gonna grind it out.
I'm gonna grind it
I
out.
paid my $20, bitch.
I'm
I'm
getting
getting my money's worth.
Well, sometimes it's also like, you know, I feel like with physical media too, it's like somebody told me to read this for a reason or somebody gave it to me
Mhm.
for a reason.
Right.
Maybe it's page 664 that's on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
maybe.
I'll commit.
Okay.
Maybe. All right.
Maybe.
All right.
Sometimes not.
53 years ago, there was a person who was inside of an agency called the EEOC.
Hmm.
And they didn't like what was happening at a company in New York, as a major New York trade company, Union Local 580. They didn't like what
Okay.
was happening with their hiring process.
Hmm.
So they put a claim out. They took them to court, the whole bit. So anyway, this is in 1971. So it was a widespread discrimination claim against Black and Hispanic workers,
Right.
iron workers, I should say, in recruitment, training, and referrals for jobs that were coming through the union.
I
In
can see that.
1978, the court approved a consent judgment that barred Local 580 from discriminating based on race. Uh,
Yeah.
okay, so they had a court appointed judgment that they needed to keep track of their hiring process and they needed to monitor this. They're hiring, how many people they're interviewing, how many they're hiring, what
Yeah.
race,
Basic
nationality,
stuff. Yeah.
the whole bit, right? Like they had to track everything. This is from 78 on. Well,
Mhm.
they haven't done that very well, and they've been tracked. And then when they weren't being audited, they didn't do it right, or at least they don't have the records. So anyhow, there's a court-appointed special master. I hate that name for this.
Mm.
Special
Yeah.
master. Just
The master.
yeah, doesn't do
It
well
just
for me.
sounds
It
Mm.
sounds like
outdated.
moist. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's like when I say
It sounds
moist
like
in front of my
moist.
wife,
Yeah.
she
Does
gets
it- does it-
really
No.
pissed off.
I was
at me.
thinking it sounded antiquated, but sure.
Yeah, antiquated. Same.
Does the job come with a whip?
So David Raff, right, of Raff and Becker. Anyway, he
Local 580 is probably in some trouble, I'm guessing, for
Needs
not
like
producing the records.
Local
But I
580
can
needs
tell
a
you,
PR team.
well, listen, I'm a union wife, and I
Yeah,
can tell you from dealing with my husband's local, everything is still done on paper by
100%.
hand, and it drives me bananas.
Oh yeah, post-it
So
Mm-hmm.
I'm
notes.
guessing, I
Yeah,
don't know if I know anybody I do know some iron workers in the city, so I don't want to offend them, but I'm guessing 580 has, yeah, there might be post-it notes, you know.
That's about what
Jason
they're.
Jason Aberbrook would say digital transformation.
Digital, yeah, no, we're talking about carbon copies and yeah, there's fax machines
Yeah.
somewhere.
All right,
Yeah,
let's all get on computers.
Yeah. There's this thing, plug it in.
it's called a word
Yeah.
processor.
Yeah,
Yeah. Word
hell yeah,
perfect.
yeah,
Yeah.
Lotus
yeah.
Notes,
Yeah.
yes, all
There we go.
Works. Yeah,
There
just
we go.
Clippy is somewhere. So
Yeah.
let's move over to Microsoft Word. Yeah, done.
Mm,
okay,
Hey, that
Clippy,
mm.
sounds great.
perfect.
Alrighty, Alphabet executives donning Halloween costumes faced questions from concerned employees at an all hands meeting on Wednesday, day after election, following comments on the company's earning call suggesting that more cost cuts are coming. So, first of
Hmm.
all, they had an earnings call
On Halloween?
on Halloween. So
That
let's
sounds
just
okay.
so there's that. Then they have an all team, an all hands meeting the next day. All right, so I looked at this two ways. So first thing that I thought, this is on CNBC, but so the first thing I thought is, okay, file this under smart people doing stupid shit. Check. Then the next file was know thy audience. So, you know, I think it's a good thing for employees to listen to earnings calls.
Hmm.
I think it
Mm,
actually
sure.
should be. They should get paid to listen to earnings calls so they know what's going on with the business. And I think that management should always encourage them to do that. However, I think showing up as a Grim Reaper on a call,
We're about cost cutting?
and we're talking about cost cutting,
Uh,
that's just not a good look. That's just
Yeah.
that's not a good look.
Mm,
So there's some scheduling stuff in there
yeah,
that I
the
think.
IR team probably should have talked to like the HR or whoever was in charge of
mm-hmm.
scheduling the all hands
Comms.
and
Hmm.
yeah, and at a company like Alphabet, I would assume they have enough layers
Yeah.
that
Why can't they just have a fun culture and get dressed up?
Well, yeah, you
they
can.
can. They could do that on different days though.
Yeah, yeah. Earnings call, they have to happen. That's a Wall
Yeah.
Street thing.
Yeah.
Check.
Yeah.
Got it. Halloween, okay, do some stuff for Halloween. Great. Check. Got it. All hands meetings. Okay, cool. Got it. But like maybe scheduling these things in a
Yeah.
different way.
Yeah, like
Mm,
in New Jersey and parts of the country, we celebrate Mischief Night on October 30th.
Ah, okay.
Ryan, do you
mm-hmm.
guys do that out by
Yeah.
you?
Well,
Yeah,
I
it's not
haven't
as big
gone.
of
I haven't gone out in a
yeah, I
number of
haven't. It's
years,
been a
but
long time, and I think it's called Goosey Night in some area. It's a regional thing, but
you
they
don't
could
have
have.
that in Texas.
No, it's region. I think it's like Michigan and New Jersey and like part of the Northeast. It's
Oh,
very
okay.
niche. But like you could have done your all hands on October 30th and celebrated Mischief Night or something, and like that was when you dressed up, and then did earnings the next day, or you know, something like that.
Just someone being
Just
on
separate.
this. I think, Katie, I think you nailed it. All of these different people, getting them in a room or on a call and
Or on
going,
this thing called
okay,
Slack, or
Hmm.
it's a modern technology. It's called texting.
yes.
Just
Yeah.
getting these people
Hmm.
together. So I'm reading it going, just doesn't seem like the team was together on this.
No,
Yeah.
no, a little
Well,
disparate in terms of organization and planning.
There you go. All right.
see,
Alphabet.
I just look at it as a fun company. You guys are boring. Anyhow, something even more boring than
Oh,
that, but
can't wait.
Slow news week,
yeah,
apparently.
Thanks.
it is a slow news
Ryan,
week.
great lead. Great
You
lead
know,
in.
my
Oh
my
my God.
story is really
You
boring.
think that story sucked? All right,
Listen
let's,
to this one. No, so
dude.
this is actually well needed if you're a healthcare person. So, healthcare is overly complex to say the least, right? Like you go through open enrollment, you gotta, pull up your checklist and see the column A, column B, column C, compare your plans and all that stuff. There's an issue with healthcare. We know that. It's open enrollment season, and so I thought, why not bring this story to the lovely group that's here on the call? The challenge with healthcare has been outside of cost and all that stuff is that plan members do not use their plan accordingly for what they selected, right? They use it when they go to the ER. They use it if they have to go um, the what do you call those clinics? The urgent care
Urgent care.
clinics. Yeah,
Mhm.
urgent care. That's when they use it when they have to, but they're not using it for routine, medical or healthcare maintenance. They're not using it for any of that stuff, right? Preventative care. So Aetna launched back in 2018. They launched something called Simple Pay with the idea that they're going to create a process or a plan in healthcare that's easier for people to take part in,
Right.
whether it's payments, whether it's invoicing, whatever it is, right? Just to use it. So now it's gone mainstream. Now they're pushing it out into the masses, and since it's open enrollment time, it makes sense. But the big difference here, Simple Pay, you don't have any upfront costs. It gets rid of co-insurance, it gets rid of deductibles, all of that stuff. So all great for people, and you don't have any upfront payments when you go to get the treatment, whether
Mhm.
it's emergency, whether it's preventative, regular care, or just you
Yeah.
need something done. Payment plans are over 12 to 18 months and they're interest free. So whatever your portion is, 500 bucks, you have 12 to 18 months to pay that back and they invoice you monthly on that.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I like it. I like the
Okay.
deal. I'm not sold on it because I'm sure there's something I'm missing there, but I
Yeah,
like
some
the idea,
fees.
making it
Yeah.
more available for people. And
Now, Katie already knows about this because it has impacted her life this week.
uh-oh.
A 600 member New York Times Tech Guild walked off the job at midnight on Monday for that'd be the day before the election,
Yes.
and for an open-ended is an open-ended strike.
Hmm.
What they're really fighting for is remote roles and hybrid work protections and pay equity. This was reported
Hmm.
by the Wall Street. Can't even get it out
It
without a
was
laugh.
who were thrilled to report on this, I'm sure.
Giddy,
I
giddy,
am I am I will say, so another nerd alert here. I do the New York Times crossword puzzle every single day.
as you should.
Um, and I have now broken my streak in solidarity of the tech workers because I do think that what they're fighting for is
Oh.
100% legitimate.
100%.
Um, I open-ended strike though is mildly terrifying. I
You
think
do
my
know
Okay.
brain
that
is
you
starting
do
to
know that
atrophy already.
they're not tracking your strike on Wordle, and
I know.
you just
Yeah.
ruined
I
all
listen.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
but
trying I'm
but
trying to
you're tracking it.
divest of bad, bad
But
relationships.
you're just
So
a great person.
no,
In
So
hardly, but
in
I'm trying.
solidarity, I stopped Wordle
I did. I did.
for a day.
did Wordle. I do all of them. It's like
yes.
really sad every morning. I do all of
No,
them.
my wife.
That's
I've
My
gotten
impressive.
wife.
into
My.
strands. I like
Oh, I don't know
strands.
that one.
Oh,
That's
that's the
new.
newest one.
Hmm.
Is that? That's not the one with
It's like a
letters.
word search kind of,
Yeah.
and you have to find the words and like, yeah,
This is what
Okay.
really intelligent people do.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
hardly,
Hundred
hardly
percent.
intelligent. People with too much time on their hands, maybe.
I,
I don't know.
I
Maybe.
wonder how fast the Wall Street Journal put that article out. Like like
They
the
had it
They
moment
ready
might
to
that.
have
go.
had it pre-written. You know how
Yeah. Yeah.
obituaries are
Yeah.
already
Oh,
like
good point.
celebrity obituaries are already under
Good point.
construction.
Hmm.
They
Yeah.
might have
They're
been
just.
waiting for this one. Just had to go to a quick run by the ethics board and the
Yeah.
editors and upload.
But
So,
kidding aside, if you're going to strike,
mhm.
you historically do it when you have the most leverage. Now, now that we know the election results, this story might not age well. That's my only fear.
I
Is
did hear
especially
something happened with connections, or was it Wordle the day after the election?
right.
People were not happy about the choice, I believe, of
Yes. Yeah.
answers. So,
Yeah. Yeah. That's
yeah.
again, it's impacting a lot of people. But again, if you're going to strike and they're not striking for more money. That's not. I mean, at least that wasn't listed. They're striking because they want remote and hybrid and flexibility and pay equity. Those aren't bad things.
I'm
Like
all for autonomy, but,
yeah,
you know.
like you know. But yeah, I
But
would
they're wait,
believe you.
so
I
they're
think you're right.
striking to get remote work?
Can get remote work and hybrid work
Guarantees, I think.
protections. Yes,
Protections, I think, yeah.
that's exactly right.
Protections.
It's
Okay.
it's
Well,
it's
listen, in the return to office, battle royale, I could see why you would want to, protect your flexibility.
that's right.
Mm.
It's that the remote because some of them are remote and
Yeah.
hybrid, but they
Uh-huh.
just want the protections that they can
Well, and
stay
they don't
remote.
need to be in the newsroom.
Mm.
These are the puzzle creators. These
Mm.
are
Right,
not, yeah.
right,
The
right.
solution is
But
Go to work.
Katie, you're absolutely right. Wall Street Journal had their finger on the button,
Boom.
just waiting.
Just like Ryan did right there, where he's like,
Yeah,
moving on.
like
1201,
go to work.
1201.
Shut your mouth and go to work. How
They
about
went
that?
they went on
Get
strike
paid.
at 12, and 1201 the article went live. There you go.
Yeah.
All right, last story on the news side is OpenAI CEO Sam Altman. He was on a podcast, VC 30 Minutes, whatever the heck it's called, and he basically advocated for a hiring approach that prioritizes talent over age, emphasizing the importance of managing a diverse workforce that it combines both experienced professionals and promising young talent. This was on MSN.com. So when I first read this headline, the first thing I thought is like, I thought that's what we were doing. I thought that was what we were doing already. Like I thought that was the bit. So it's funny, but it's not funny actually, because Silicon Valley has long since valued younger talent, and he said it out loud.
Hmm.
Oops.
Well, and there's some of that cost cutting too.
That is correct.
You know what?
Yeah.
If more people said things out loud.
Oh yeah, no, 100%.
Isn't
And
that how
he's
we got to where we are, Ryan?
oh yeah,
Probably.
good point.
Yeah, I don't know that that's a good thing.
Ryan,
But
Probably.
Ryan, are you gonna build a wall,
I'm gonna build 12 foot. 12 foot.
dude? Like, do you know the cartels already have like the wall is not gonna stop anybody.
No. Mm-mm.
Cartels have 20 years of a head start on this deal.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
building a wall.
Yeah.
You keep the Girl Scouts out.
says the Texan.
All right. We ready to talk some acquisitions here?
No, we're gonna let Katie go.
Oh.
No, she
Someone
can't.
got acquired this week?
Yeah, actually, we can talk about it if you want to.
Sure, why not? I must have
Alright.
missed this.
Let's do
All
some
right.
acquisitions. You go first.
All right. Big Time expands platform with Workrails acquisition to enhance CPQ and workflow automation for professional services. Is that bigtime.net? I guess they couldn't get the .com. Anywho, it's a big win in terms of the acquisition. Is a big win for professional services firms. That's their clientele, both companies' clientele. They'll be more efficient and profitable because it's basically making them more efficient. So, good acquisition.
I like it. I like
There you
it.
go.
All right. Salesforce is on the board. Now, they haven't fully announced this acquisition.
All right.
It's so back in September, they announced that they've signed a definitive agreement to
Right.
acquire 10x or 10. Is it 10x? Is that how you say it? TENYX. I call it 10x. Anyway,
It's your
it's an
story.
what's that? I'll make it up. It's an AI-powered voice agent mainly used in customer
Oh, I
service.
remember this one. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're supposed. The reason I'm bringing it back up is because they're supposed to announce it this quarter, this upcoming third quarter, which is I'm sorry, in fiscal year end for Salesforce is October 31st.
Oh, really?
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're supposed to bring
Huh.
it up or announce it now. They haven't, so wanted to put it back on our radar because I think this is actually pretty significant.
I think they're going to carry it over to the next year.
What do you mean the
The
announcement?
acquisition. Yeah, no, they've already announced it, but the acquisition itself.
The closing of the
Oh,
acquisition?
the closing.
Yeah.
of it,
Oh,
actually.
I have no clue.
Yeah.
Did they do their
Um,
earnings already?
Yeah. That would
They-
have been if
Yeah,
it,
because
They
if
they did that October.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they might just
So-
sneak it in.
This is one of your type of stories, William, where
okay.
could be, couldn't be. But I think they have a play here in talent acquisition.
Oh yeah, they
They
do.
own 22% of the CRM market already. They integrate with Bullhorn deeply.
Mhm.
They integrate with Pardot deeply.
Mhm.
They're the king of automation, right? They've got all the makings to come in and do, and a lot of companies use them. They use them for talent acquisition. They use them as an ATS, or they combine it with.
And you're talking about Tinex?
No, Salesforce.
Salesforce has tried to come into HR and recruiting specifically,
And they haven't-
six different times.
Yeah, they haven't
all-
been successful.
All failed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think this is another push. I think
Maybe
with this company now they're able to do a lot of different things. So
the
I'm liking
struggle has been you have to build off the Force.com platform.
Correct.
So if you're going to do it like you build an ATS or whatever the bit is, you got to build off their platform. And a lot of people have tried that and
Yeah.
not fared well.
Yeah.
So good luck for them.
Yeah.
Now let me
Yeah.
roll another one that we've talked about before. Past
Yeah.
you.
One more
First
big one.
Advantage completes acquisition of Sterling Check for $2.2 billion. GlobalNewsWire.com. We reported on it because they announced it in
Mhm.
March. However, now this week they've actually closed the transaction. It's
Correct.
completed, etc. Now, I want your take, both yours and Katie's, on this. How close is that to the monopoly rule with those two being combined?
It was already subject to review.
Right?
Full disclosure, First Advantage is a client of mine.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
But they've already gone through all the processes, obviously, which is why it was
yeah.
announced way back
Right.
when. And, they were seen as distinct enough in their offerings.
Okay.
And First Advantage also rebranded as part of, they did do a little bit of a rebrand
Oh, cool.
reflective of this. So,
Okay. Well, putting those two together, first of all, it's fantastic
hmm
for all the customers involved. It's just I wondered because they're so big,
they are
both
so
of them.
big.
It's like,
Mhm.
well, there's a ton, there's thousands of smaller ones, so maybe
Right.
I think
maybe
they
that.
historically they've focused on different verticals, which
Ah,
is part of what made First Advantage and Sterling distinct enough that they could come together.
I love it.
Mhm.
I love it. I bet
And
Ryan.
it's huge global reach.
Well, I mean, when we saw it in I think it was March 3rd when we did the barf on this one.
hmm
We saw it. We're like, oh, this is cool. I
hmm
mean, this is just great for everybody around. This one, once it finally got complete, I looked back into it. I'm like, okay, out of all the global players, how
Yeah.
big does this make them? And obviously, it doesn't come close to the threshold. So
hmm
good,
Right.
good
There
for
you
them.
go. All
All
right.
right,
We're on
research.
to some research stuff. This is
All right,
this is
Meg.
the fun part, Katie. If you could
We're
stay,
just getting
Confessions.
started
we're
with the
just
fun part,
getting started.
guys.
Yeah,
Because we
there's
we
stuff
have
with fun.
some stupidity to talk about today.
All right,
Ooh, I like stupidity.
Confessions of an office workhorse study. It's on sidehustles.com. This is a study. I can't make this shit up. This is fascinating because it relies on how people see themselves and their value. And historically, I've always thought that people overvalue the things they do. So I've always come into this like, you think you're adding a lot of value. I don't think you're adding the same amount of value. So I've been very cynical as it relates to this. They've got a whole study about it. So 61% of, I'll give you three stats. 61% of employees consider themselves workhorses, with Gen X 64% being the most likely to identify as workhorses, and Gen Z 52% the least likely. That's one stat. 55% of workhorses feel that their contributions are undervalued. 55%, same number, of workhorses feel stuck in their current positions, and 51% feel burnt out. So, first of all, what do y'all think about the workhorses?
I mean,
I think that spoke volumes.
It did.
this is almost going to be as good as my next one.
All right. Okay. Go.
All right. So, Gen Z, you ready for this? Gen
I'm
Z
ready.
stressing the fuck out of their managers.
Yeah.
So, this
They're using different
How
words.
old are their managers?
Yeah,
Exactly. They're millennials.
Because no. If it's Gen X again, I got a lot to say there. But
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
So this gets into challenges
Buddy.
managers face when overseeing Gen Z employees, right? Setting the stage here. So this
Okay.
caught my attention because it highlights the different generations, which we love to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
Anyhow, I read this as managing Gen Z requires more time and resources, okay, leading to increased stress and frustration among managers. That was how I wrote it. Listen to these stats, though. This is where
Okay.
I think Katie's going to chime in.
Yeah.
18% of managers have considered quitting due to the stress of managing Gen Z employees. But wait, there's more. Additionally, 51% have experienced frustration and 44% have felt stressed in this context of why are they in my office?
I feel like these numbers could have just been like 10 years ago this study could have come out, 20 years ago this study could have come out.
Yeah.
The numbers would have been exactly the same. It's like young career entrants, difficult to manage, require more of their managers.
Just
Like,
recycle that article.
I
Just
think
kind
this
of
was written
restart it.
about millennials in 2009,
It
It was written.
was.
2010.
It was
Like,
written about Gen X and
It was. It
Yeah.
Indiana's.
was.
Yeah,
This
Yeah.
is
same
the
stuff.
stupidity that's out there in the world of research. Like people are getting paid to do this.
I know.
Well, the thing is I can see the challenge, but it's the same challenge that other people have had before, and you get over the challenge. If you're a true leader, you get over the challenge because you're like, oh, okay, you
What if
want to
you're a true
be.
researcher? You go back and see if this has been done to death.
That's right.
Is
That,
it
That's
really?
my problem with
I mean,
it.
there's
is
Like,
it
that.
really difficult to manage people from different generations?
no,
Like,
I
Yes.
think what this is the managers are not receiving the training they need, and are
Yes.
because that's part of this is that onboarding and training we're doing less of.
That's right. Because
Manager
it's a cost
training
center. Yeah.
pretty much non-existent. So you're supposed to be taking time out of your day to help out, these people who need help, who
Yeah.
just didn't
Fair.
they didn't get the training or the onboarding they needed. You didn't get it, and the cycle
yeah,
is just vicious and repeating
I
itself.
have a fucking headache. Oh,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
it is specifically the barf that has made me unhireable ever if I need to
This
get
is
a
what made
job.
you unhireable all
This
these
is.
years, Ryan.
I think working with me probably had some of
I mean, someone's gonna look back and be like, "How are you gonna work with our employee population?"
not
I think between the three of us, though, when was the last time any of us had like a corporate
a job.
Yeah, it's been
a
a
job
while.
job?
It's
It's
no.
it's
I,
been a
I
Yeah.
avoid
while.
those.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
it's
right,
a new generation by now.
Yeah, yeah,
It's way
I
out
did.
of
I did when I was at this is by 2008, so a long time ago. I made one of my interns cry, and not on purpose, obviously, but
Kill her
she
dog.
was, she was although it
Young
would be
millennial
cat.
workforce entrant.
Okay, young millennial. She right out of TCU and great gal. She was writing stuff for me, and it was an open office, right? So four walls, lots of chairs, whatever. She pulls up a
That's an
chair right
office.
at my desk, and she gives me the article, and I'm reading it, and I'm just looking down, reading it, going, "This
She
is the
printed out a
worst."
copy to give to you because it's that long
Correct.
ago.
It's 2008.
Did it
She had
have
to get it
holes
off
on?
the.
It's double spaced,
Did it have
Times New
holes?
Roman,
Yeah.
size 12 font.
Dude, this is so great.
Did
So
it have holes on the side of the paper?
yeah, what was it
Dot
dot matrix
matrix?
Yeah,
print?
dot matrix.
So so she's sitting across from me, and I'm not looking at her. I'm looking down. And I'm like, this is the fucking worst shit I've ever read in my fucking life.
Red pen in hand.
No, I didn't even have a pen. I'm like, are you fucking high? Like,
Oh,
this is
God.
crazy. And I'm not looking at her. And then all of a sudden, I can hear her sniffling. And I'm like, and I looked up, and she's on full on fucking makeup's ruined the whole bit. I'm like, oh shit, I'm sorry.
Oh, you were sitting there the whole time.
First of all, I thought touch of autism. Anywho, so here's the deal. I'm sorry. I should have asked you how you like your feedback. So, great gal. I mean, we're still friends to this day because we can laugh about it now. But that's something like with another Gen X person,
Mm,
that would have been just normal.
this is why he asks me all the time, "How do you like your feedback?" When he
I
says
do.
that,
I do. That's where that comes from.
You
I
know there's something.
exactly.
Have you ever watched
Oh, yeah.
that movie Wine Country with
Yeah.
like Amy
Mm-mm.
Poehler and it's may I offer you some feedback is like the
Yes.
running joke throughout
Yes.
the movie. May I
Yeah.
offer you and she's just going to
Yeah.
tell you you're being
100%.
absurd. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Rachel
How you like your
Dratch.
feedback?
Yeah.
Bring
we
us
got
through some
two-
money, two fundings.
All right, Kraft with two T's, a New York City-based provider of a platform built on decentralized infrastructure for the modern workforce, raised
Wow.
$2 million
Mm.
in seed funding. That's Kraft with two T's .xyz.
Is it
I don't
with a
know.
K or a C?
No, it's with a C. It's like
I
a
think I'm
Prince-
hungry at this point, so.
It's like a Prince song. Did I hear a niner in there?
Can I have some macaroni and cheese?
So anyhow, it's actually go to their website because it
Mhm.
is actually really cool looking. But they're building a frictionless thing for work, for decentralized infrastructure. The platform.
Mm.
It's actually really, outside of all the jokes, it's actually really cool, and it's enabling kind of a modern workforce. So
Cool.
anyhow, that's Kraft with two T's.
Beautiful.
Next, Algorized, an AI platform pioneering advanced people sensing and positioning software. has
People
raised,
sensing.
That's a lot
I
of
know,
P's.
I know, 4.3 million in seed funding. This is on VCNewsDaily.com, so you can look at there. People sensing, not as sexy. So people sensing, think of like you're in your Tesla, and you can see cars on the side of you with
Hmm.
little boxes of cars. Sensing in a industrial
So
situation,
somebody's creeping up behind me in a warehouse
right? You can see
in the
people.
back of my head.
Oh no, it's no. This is when you go to the website, you're gonna trip out. So like people sensing not as sexy. They can do people sensing through walls.
Oh, Big Brother is watching, and this is
Oh, dude, it's
Hmm.
so awesome. So like
terrifying.
it's like you're on your forklift and you can see that there's people over there behind the rolls of whatever it is.
From a
Uh,
safety perspective, it
No,
makes
this it makes
sense.
it makes a lot of sense. It
I'm
just yeah.
thinking I'm in my closet hiding from a serial killer, and they can see me from the next house.
no,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's that.
your panic room is no longer
No, that
Yeah.
safe.
now those are thermal scopes. I don't know if y'all have
Yeah.
ever looked through. We're changing the subject, but those thermal scopes on rifles.
Mm-hmm.
You can drive around your neighborhood and see people in their house.
I need to build a
Yeah.
bunker.
I
It
kind of
is
feel like we should
But
edit
buddy of
that
mine
out
has
because
one. It's
someone's
like
gonna
nine
come.
thousand dollars. He paid roughly $9,000 for a thermal scope, and we
Mm,
drove around my neighborhood
mm,
just looking
Texas
at
is
people in their
very
house.
different than New
So
Jersey.
awesome.
yeah.
It
Yeah.
is.
You can see everything. It's great. It's so
How
awesome.
are we 50
Anyhow,
states operating as one is what I ask
oh,
Yeah,
myself most days.
well, that's the thing. We're not operating as one,
Yeah, well,
right?
no,
There you
and it's
go.
not going to operate very efficiently after this.
Yeah.
Algorized, so it's A
okay,
L G O R I
cool.
Z
Well,
E D.
congrats to Kraft and Algarized.
Right,
Yeah. Well,
right. Raising
they.
money is
It's
tough.
crazy year to raise money, so
100%. People sensing. Nah.
people sensing and
Mm,
decentralized.
well, there
All
you
right.
go.
We
We
barfed.
are done. We're all wrapped up for today. We barf. So, Katie, first time on. Little different format today, but
I had a blast.
there you go. We're
I really
here.
did. It was a good way to end the week.
She's gonna
Yeah.
go swimming in the ocean tonight, and
I did think about it. There
you
is a
know,
great white off of New Jersey right now, though. He's like
Oh, no way.
1,600 pounds.
Ay,
is that
ay.
what's her name?
No, it's not Mary
Not
Jane or
yet.
Mary
Not
Ellen
okay.
or whatever that one is. This is a boy, which is
Ah,
a little
come
Okay.
on, bring him
scarier to me.
in. He's there.
Um,
He can't be really
we've
aggressive
had
or
a lot
anything.
of whales and dolphins lately. They actually found a butchered dolphin by my house the other day. Someone
Oh,
actually like the FBI's involved. It's anyways.
wow.
The world
Wow.
is
Mm.
terrifying, but thank you for
You
this.
live
It
in a
was
harmful place.
the
You got
ocean
some.
is scary, so
Turns out, I think I think the deep ocean is scarier to me than space.
Yeah.
we
Like
might know more about space.
Yeah.
what's down there, like in the deep ocean part, like a
Yeah.
really really deep ocean
Mm-hmm.
part. That whatever the hell is down there,
Hmm.
I'm more
Have you
afraid of
guys
that.
ever watched Spooky Lake Month? It just concluded, but I'm
No.
going to plug Spooky Lake Month real quick. So
Okay.
here,
Mm.
fun thing to look at on TikTok or Instagram, whatever you prefer.
Yeah.
Spooky Lake Month every October. This woman, her name's Gio. She actually has a book out about it now. She
Oh.
talks about all the terrifying bodies of water.
Oh, very nice.
Every day she does a different one. Little
Oh, I
little
like
video format.
this.
Go back and watch this October. You'll learn a lot of
Spooky.
stuff.
What's it called?
Spooky Lake Month.
Well, I'm
It's
gonna have
every
to go look
October
at
she
that.
does
I'm
it.
down. I'm down.
Share it
I
with your
really like
kids.
this.
It's very
No.
cool. Lake
Oh,
Baikal.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of Lake Baikal?
uh,
Mm-mm.
It's in like Siberia, I think.
yeah.
Terrifying things exist on this
It's just
planet.
Oh.
bodies on bodies down there.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to look it up.
So there you go.
We have a small little lake by me that I won't go on by myself.
Really?
It's small.
Is it
I
haunted?
mean, it feels haunted. You have to go back in this path, and there's like a campground on
Oh.
one side, but it always has fog on it, and it's only
Mm,
7 foot deep.
I'm gonna
mm.
take you to
So
Caddo Lake when you come back to Texas. I'm gonna take
yeah,
you to Caddo Lake
I don't
Is
because
that
like
where your
7.
lake house is?
no, it's the only natural lake in Texas.
Oh,
There's
Every
only
other lake
one
in
natural
Texas,
lake in Texas?
one, one,
what's
and
wrong
it's
with
in
you
East
people?
Texas. Well, we have like 600 lakes, so we're good.
I live on
Anywho,
a lake. I don't know if y'all know that.
I didn't
By
know
the
that.
beach.
No.
I live on a
Ah,
lake by the beach.
Hmm.
It's
so that's
Saltwater
on
brackish.
Lake.
both sides.
It's brackish.
Okay.
I live on a
Okay.
So
peninsula.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I live.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
it's
Very
brackish,
nice.
and right now it's real low because it hasn't rained in two
Yeah.
months,
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
control it with a flume. So
So
Very
so
cool.
seawater can come
mhm,
in. So you've got some animals in there that can do fresh and seawater.
we got
Same
all have
thing.
snapping turtles. They lay their eggs
Ah,
in my yard every year.
Oh,
Dude, I love those
wonderful.
animals that can
Hmm.
actually do both.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of
Nature
them
is
down in
amazing.
Florida. It is. They
We went from
adapt.
We have
technology to nature. We're
we've got
covering all the
to
bases.
we've got to end it there. I love
All
animals
right.
that can do both.
Dude,